right, thank you for staying with Citizen TV. The discussion starts right now. We're speaking about Youth Agenda 2026. What is their plan going forward? We'll also talk about the Nyota program, which is a government plan to empower the young people. Is it working for them? Is it not? Is it the best model they like? What is their alternative? We'll also talk about the war on drugs and substance abuse. Mostly the youth are affected by this. We'll find out from them whether they agree with the government forming a special squad to deal with that. My guests are with me, some of them already here. Valentine Aswani, she's an industrial chemist. Thank you for making time. Faith Ken is here. She's a youth advocate. Asante sana for making time. Otieno Mokai is a lawyer and is here. Thank you for making time. And Eric Omondi, founder, Youth 47. Thank you very much for making time. We're still waiting for Marco Uko, Youth Coordinator, National Students Council, and Winfred Asiko, a youth leader. As soon as they come in, we'll rope them into this discussion, all right? But let me start off with your order of attendance. Valentine Aswani, you're the first one here. How do you describe the state of governance today as a young person? Heading in the right direction or the wrong direction? And what are your main concerns?
The state of governance is questionable, according to me, because governance is full of, let's say, corruption. And that as youth, there are things that we want to be handled, let's say like unemployment, let's say supporting SMEs, and let's say our policies. There are so many youths who take their policy reforms to county governments, but they're not addressed. So for us to move forward, I think the main thing is for the governance to be good, and that starts by fighting corruption. Okay. Because at the end of the day, it's the main giant in the house.
Faith, what is your greatest concern today as a young person?
As a young person, first of all, thank you so much, Trevor, for having me on the show again, and Happy New Year. I think it's the first time we're meeting this year. So as a young person right now, my main concern in terms of engagement and involvement is just now the young people getting out of social media and getting themselves in the groundwork, when, in governance, because we are now approaching elections. So the youth should just come out of social media outrage and now focus on the groundwork now and get involved. Yeah.
What does groundwork mean?
Groundwork, the structures that we have. For example, the voter registration. Have the young people registered as voters? When we are saying that we are getting the older generation out, are we preparing ourselves and doing that, or we're just on social media saying, it's the youth time, we are getting, it's our time now? What mechanism are we putting in place when it comes to mobilization? Are we mobilizing ourselves? Because it doesn't, it's not happening in social media alone. We need to get out, we need to be on the ground. For example, I come from Migori County. So if I say that I'm replacing my member of parliament or my MCA, I'm supposed to be now engaging with the locals and integrating them into the ideas that I think are working or are supposed to work for us, or the things that we feel they're not doing right. So that is what I mean by groundwork.
Okay. Eric, what is your greatest concern today as a young person?
Thank you, Trevor. Asante sana for having us. I think, as my two sisters have said, my greatest concern is that nothing much has changed. It's getting worse. There's a lot of politics, as usual, a lot of tribalism, a lot of corruption, a lot of nepotism, a lot of coalitions, alignment, just political interest. It's getting worse, yeah? And it's the same culture of interest. So I think it's because we have very few leaders, or maybe none, but a lot of politicians. So my concern is nothing is changing, and everything is getting worse, yeah? The rhetorics, the politics, interest of politicians, and no interest for the good of the public, and in this case, for the good of young people.
Okay. Well, you speak about what you'd like your interest to look like, then that's a feel. Let's see what Mokaya has to say. Mokaya, what is your greatest concern today?
My greatest concern is that we are having conversations that are not rooted in our interest. We are having conversations which we are not part of. And the sad thing is that these conversations we are being handed over by people who we are sure don't have our agenda in mind. Governance is a continuous process. There is no day you'll say we have governed enough, it's time to do something else. So it's a continuous conversation. But do we know that the problems we are complaining about today kind of are the same problems that Tom Mboya were complaining about 50, 40 years ago? Then what is the difference between us and them? The narratives we are driving, the bandwagons we are jumping onto, are we understanding whether they have our interest in mind? The slogans we are singing and the people we are following, the people we are even blogging for, where are we in that conversation? The hate we are inheriting, where are we in that conversation? So then, I don't like categorizing people into, call it tribe, call it age group, because our problems could be generation specific, but our country is not generation specific. Our issues are not generation specific. The prices we buy things at are not generation specific. How broke people are, whether people have money in their pockets, we could granulate that into generations, yes, but we share that. So whether what we are calling youth today was not youth tomorrow, it was children yesterday, we won't be youth tomorrow. So we have to fix fundamental issues. We have to have fundamental conversations, not about who we are now, but are we comfortable with what we do today if we are facing it in whichever category we'll face tomorrow.
Okay. And let me come back to Aswani here. Aswani, one of the things you mentioned was unemployment and supporting SMEs as one of your greatest concerns, and of course corruption being the biggest one. The government recently launched the Nyota program, meant to empower young people, about 100,000 of them, a multi-billion shilling program meant to empower young people in different grassroots and also give them prior learning experience and all that, certification and all. Is that the kind of empowerment young people deserve? And what would be the alternative?
Thank you. The Nyota Fund, okay, I can say it's neutral. Because, okay, the aim of the Nyota Fund was to, as you've said, mentorship, training, and financing the SMEs and the startups, which is okay. But now, in my opinion, I have heard that there are various challenges that people are finding it difficult to access it, some, and others are saying there is some political, it's according to connections and what's not. So, in my opinion, I think the Nyota Fund is not, it's 50-50.
Okay.
And there are some people who have bigger ideas. I always say, there are some people who have other skills and ideas that the financing of the Nyota Fund cannot be enough. So I think they should look at also the other aspects.
Okay. Have you interacted with anyone who's received the funding or anyone who is part of the program?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't heard of.
So this is hearsay about whether it's selective or it's difficult to get.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But when we talk about supporting SMEs, and that's one of the things you wanted, how do you want that done? So if you're asked, as a young person, you put on the table, you're told, okay, fine, you want us to support SMEs, what do we do?
First and foremost, I think it's training. It is very important, and mentorship, so that. And then you ask that person, which skill do you have? Which idea do you have? How do you want it to be funded? Then they are funded. But yeah, that is the main. Then they mentor them along the process of startup. Then they go to SMEs until they become big businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me bring in Faith Ken on this. Ken, is this idea of the Nyota program a welcome idea to young people like yourself?
Trevor, it's a good idea, because for a very long time, the demographic that the Nyota Fund is focusing on is the youth aged 18 to 29 and 35 years for the PWDs, up to 35 years. So for a very long time, this category of people, being the Form 4 leavers or those who haven't reached even that level of education, normally they are not always factored in historically in employment opportunities. So Nyota is a good thing, and it's good you've corrected that whatever she's claiming, that it's according to whom you know, is actually hearsay. Yeah, I've seen beneficiaries of Nyota program, and when she's talking about trainings, that is one of the things that Nyota, the program, is offering. Yeah, there is mentorship, there is skill training and certification, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned earlier on getting out of social media and doing groundwork. So there are some young people who actually make money from social media. So I don't know what you meant by getting out of social media. What I'm trying to get to here is that if a young person talks about a challenge, what is the possible alternative to that challenge?
Okay, so when I mentioned that young people should get out of social media, I mentioned that in line with governance, not a business opportunity or entrepreneurship. Because as we're approaching elections, one of the things to be done if we at all we want to change the system is now going into elections. And we are not voting on social media. The voting is normally done in polling stations on the ground. So that is what I meant by the youth should come out of social media and start focusing on the ground, because I gave an example of where I come from. I come from Migori County, and I can't be talking about the bad roads in Migori County, yet I haven't even used those roads. So I have to be there to see or to know someone who is facing that challenge. When I'm talking about education, for example, in my county, I have to have the actual data and statistics of people affected. So that is what I meant by young people getting out of social media and getting into the ground. Because if you're talking about electing good leadership, and with that I don't mean the president alone, we have the MCS, we have women reps, we have members of parliament. So we have to get down and also get involved like them. The problem we have with us young people is that we think that by doing things differently is supposed to be our way only, and not so. We want to change the all system, but we on social media, not doing it on the ground. So that is what I meant by saying we should get out of social media.
Okay. Eric, is the Nyota program the game changer for young people?
No, it's not. And Trevor, I think we are soon going to change this country. And the culture of campaigning using strategies. We've just gotten into the electioneering period, yeah? And we need constant, consistent, sustainable solutions for young people. What Nyota is doing is basically campaigning for the government or the president. I mean, Trevor, in 2026, Kenya Kwanza was elected in 2022, whereas Nyota ilikuwa wapi? Wana campaign, and that is a handout. And I'm kind of kidogo disappointed by my two sisters here, especially Ken, to be on national TV and say that is a good idea. Ni campaign. Ni watu wanatafuta kura. Tuwamama tumewapea nini? Now what is the strategy ya kuget vijana? 22,000. That is a handout. Bro, do you know how many people have not gone to school or have not paid rent? It's January. Ukinipea 22,000 usinifundishe biashara. It goes to my rent, it goes to my sister's school fees or my brother's school fees or food or electricity. People don't have money. We need a government. We need to change things so that people, the biggest issue for young people is employment and entrepreneurship. Yeah. So we need systems that ensure that people are employed. Yeah. That is sustainable. Yeah. So hakuna Nyota.
Okay.
Hakuna Nyota.
Okay.
Hakuna Nyota. If you give a young person 22,000 today, I swear to you, to God, anaenda kukunywa pombe. Because from 2022, 2023, 2024, amekuwa na that's why they're on the streets. Because Trevor, I have known so many people who have 2 degrees, 3 degrees. Hawajakuwa na employment since 2017. There are people are tarmacking. People, that is a handout, Trevor.
Okay. So you've mentioned drug and alcohol abuse, and we'll talk about that later on. But then, what is the alternative then, Eric? Because there are young people who don't have any jobs, and now government is saying that let's reach out to them, give them a startup capital. If you're given a startup capital to start a business and you decide to use that on your own personal issues, how is that? How is the government to blame? But the bigger question here is, what is the alternative then?
Create an atmosphere, create a job opportunities, employment opportunities, create an atmosphere where people can now even become entrepreneurs. Yeah? Create structures. I mean, teachers are on strike, nurses are on strike. Inamaanisha there's a problem in the system, yeah? Yeah, so you cannot just wake up and go around the country dishing out cash and expecting those people to use that money. They're not in that state. Bro, I work with young people. I work with young people. I speak with young people. I associate with them. I know where their mental health is, how their thinking is. Huwezi amka tu kesho upatie mtu 50K, alafu expect magic. There's a system failure. And we have to open our eyes as young people. Yeah, let's take that money. A few of us, maybe less than 10%, will convert that into something sustainable. 90% will not. Because the problems that young people are going through are bigger than that, yeah? So we need to start, and that's why we're saying, Trevor, we need to take over a leadership. That's why I'm calling upon young people to take over leadership. What Faith was saying, yeah? We get off social media and go to the ground and take over leadership. Okay. Yeah? Easy positions tuzichukue. Hawa wazee watatupea handout for how long? To me, Nyota is in handout.
Oh, hakuna nyota vile unasema.
Hakuna nyota.
Let me bring in Mokai on this. Mokai, are we disconnected from reality here? Because I've heard also Eric saying that this money is not enough. It's little money, you just use it. Can you actually start a business with it? Because one of the young people was speaking, and there's always been a lot of conversations about whether is it a staged conversation, are they saying the truth? But her mathematics somehow added up. So she was saying that 13,000 shillings she will use for rent for a small space. She'll use another 6,000 shillings to buy, I think, a fryer or something, and then another 3,000 to get some of her fries and potatoes and start her business. Does that make sense? And does the Nyota program make sense? Because when you tell that to a middle income community, it may not make sense. But does it make sense for the person who is targeted by this initiative down at the grassroots?
Trevor, the things we say and the way we say the things we say, we should also hive out our privilege from the things we say. Because not everybody who walks on foot is at the beach. Some people don't actually have those shoes. So your realities should not blind you to other people's realities. My reality, Trevor, is that I passed very well in class 8. I was supposed to join Kisii School and Nyamagwa. At that time, you used to receive 2 letters. My school fees was 17,000. My parents did not have that money. That was small money to you, if at all you are in the places that I am right now. And you won't understand how 2 parents will miss 17,000. I was forced to go to a day school where maybe my school fees was 5,000. Fast forward, Trevor, I qualified for university, and somehow I didn't, my district was not represented by the branches that were to favor you with the Wings to Fly program. Not that I didn't pass, so I passed exemplarily well, and I'm not bragging, Trevor. And I couldn't raise 26,000 to join University of Nairobi. A fundraiser was done. There is something that goes into fundraisers because, number one, somehow you are stripped of your dignity, because next time you come home, you can't talk with confidence because they'll say, tumekuchangia ukajua kizungu, sasa unatutukana. So when you laugh at 20,000, that is money that could have changed my life if that money was there at 14. When you say that 20, 50,000 is small money, to you, it is small money. To somebody else, that is what they need to leapfrog into the next part of their life. Engage me, Trevor. There is a service by one of the telcos that allows you to have an overdraft or spend money that you don't have. That service is called Fuliza. I want to talk to you about the journey that that service has. In the market in Mudhurwa, in the morning at 4 a.m., our mothers are buying mboga there. If the price of mboga shifts by 5-10 shillings, they won't have the same stock they had. These our mothers don't have refrigerators, so which means whatever they buy, if they don't sell it by 5 p.m. or 7 p.m., that is a loss. So they have to buy the same thing they bought yesterday in the same quantities. What that product does is that at 10,000 overdraft, at 30 shillings cost, our mothers and brothers can go to Gikomba, buy stock at 10,000, sell at double the price, pay school fees, pay for their bills, come tomorrow. 10,000 is small money to me, but that is somebody's school fees. That is somebody's fees. You have covered news where people fight domestically over 100 shillings. Those are real economic realities. When we talk about starting a business, I'll bring it to you that getting a motorbike on credit will cost you 20,000. Will Nyota Fund give you that? Yeah. Starting a shoes biashara, mtumba viatu, you need 300 shillings to get some 10 rubbers. If you factor that by 20,000, you have something to give a client options and they'll buy from you. Tomorrow when you meet me with 20,000 and I've doubled that money to 100,000, I'll be able to employ an errand boy to deliver those goods on an electric motorbike to somebody else. But those are things we don't want to talk about because we are used to apartments at Kilimani where we pay 50,000 and 20,000 cannot pay our rent. But some people who are living the lives that we started from, we know this because by grace of God our lives have changed, our dreams are lofty, but we cannot desensitize ourselves from lives that we have lived just because we have different aspirations.
Okay.
The jobs we are looking for, when we grew up, ulikuwa unafanya kazi serikalini ama kwa muhindi. That's where our parents were working. But there's a spectacular aspect of things. We have social media now. We can sell online. We can fry either. There are two girls who go around shops selling njugu. How much do they need to buy a bale of njugu and sell to 100 people at 100 shillings and make 10,000? So then, how are we creating employment if we are trivializing small steps that make life different for some people, that make tomorrow hopeful for some of us?
Okay.
So let's not hive over ourselves from that. Closing, Trevor, I might have a problem with the structure, but it's not my role to trash everything that is being done. I should appreciate efforts that are being done before I criticize. And trust you me, the people who are doing this today could have had different ideas when they are younger. But again, when the rubber meets the road, realities kick in. And the small steps we do are how we start running.
Okay, I have to take a quick commercial break. When you come back, Marco Uko, Youth Coordinator, National Students Council, and Winfred Asiko, Youth Leader, now joining us. We'll engage them into this conversation. We'll come back with the Nyota conversation for a bit and see your feedback as well. If you have a lot of feedback on Nyota, we'll take a look at that. And then we'll talk about the youth agenda into 2026. And then the war on alcohol and drugs and substance abuse as well. All that affecting the young people here in studio. We'll find out from them what they think are their best ways forward. In fact, what we're looking for here is what do they say and what is the alternative? What do they suggest as the people are affected by all this? All right, see you in just a bit.